Electrician license reciprocity refers to the process where one state recognizes and accepts an electrician's license issued by another state. This allows electricians to work legally in multiple states without having to undergo the full licensing process in each state. However, achieving reciprocity can be complex due to varying state regulations, examination requirements, and experience standards. The lack of widespread reciprocity between New Jersey and other states can be attributed to several factors. Firstly, state regulations differ significantly. Each state has its own electrical code based on the National Electrical Code, or NEC, but may have amendments or local interpretations that create variations. These variations could affect the scope of work permitted under a license and the specific knowledge required to pass a licensing exam. Secondly, examination standards vary. Some states use the National Electrical Code, or NEC, while others have their own state-specific codes. The content and difficulty of the licensing exams can also vary, making it challenging for states to agree on equivalent qualifications. Thirdly, experience requirements differ. States mandate a specific number of hours of on-the-job experience before an individual can qualify for a journeyman or master electrician license. The types of experience that count towards these hours can also vary, creating discrepancies in accepted qualifications. Fourthly, continuing education requirements differ. Many states require electricians to complete continuing education courses to maintain their licenses. The number of hours required and the topics covered can vary, making it difficult to establish reciprocity agreements. Fifthly, interstate agreements are not always in place. Reciprocity often requires formal agreements between states, which can be difficult to negotiate and implement. These agreements must address the differences in regulations, exams, and experience requirements to ensure that licensed electricians meet the standards of the receiving state. Sixthly, local market conditions can play a role. Some states may be reluctant to grant reciprocity if they believe it could lead to an oversupply of electricians, potentially affecting wages and job opportunities for local workers. Seventhly, political and administrative hurdles can impede progress. Establishing reciprocity agreements requires the cooperation of state licensing boards, legislatures, and administrative agencies. These bodies may have differing priorities and concerns, which can slow down or prevent the implementation of reciprocity agreements. Eighthly, the absence of a national standard for electrician licensing makes reciprocity more difficult. A national standard would provide a common framework for education, experience, and examination, making it easier for states to recognize licenses issued by other states. Ninthly, the process of verifying credentials can be cumbersome. States must have a reliable method for verifying the credentials of electricians seeking reciprocity. This can involve contacting previous employers, educational institutions, and licensing boards to ensure that the individual meets the state's requirements. Tenthly, some states may have concerns about the quality of training and education in other states. They may require additional training or testing to ensure that electricians from other states have the necessary skills and knowledge to work safely and effectively. Despite these challenges, there are some avenues for New Jersey licensed electricians to work in other states. Firstly, individuals can apply for a license by examination in the desired state. This involves meeting the state's experience requirements and passing the licensing exam. Secondly, individuals can pursue additional training or education to meet the specific requirements of the desired state. This may involve taking courses on state-specific codes or regulations. Thirdly, individuals can seek employment with a national company that operates in multiple states. These companies may have established relationships with state licensing boards and may be able to assist with the reciprocity process. Fourthly, individuals can advocate for reciprocity agreements between New Jersey and other states. This involves contacting state legislators and licensing boards to express the need for reciprocity and to support efforts to establish agreements. Fifthly, individuals can consider obtaining a certification from a national organization such as the National Electrical Contractors Association or the Independent Electrical Contractors Association. These certifications can demonstrate a high level of competence and may be recognized by some states. Sixthly, individuals can research the specific requirements of each state they are interested in working in. This involves contacting the state licensing board and reviewing the relevant laws and regulations. Seventhly, individuals can document their experience and qualifications thoroughly. This includes keeping detailed records of their work experience, training, and education. Eighthly, individuals can be patient and persistent. The reciprocity process can be lengthy and complex, but it is often possible to obtain a license in another state with sufficient effort. Ninthly, individuals can consult with an attorney or a licensing expert. These professionals can provide guidance in the reciprocity process and can help individuals navigate the legal and administrative requirements. Tenthly, individuals can network with other electricians and industry professionals. This can provide valuable insights into the reciprocity process and can help individuals identify potential opportunities. To further elaborate on the factors hindering reciprocity, it's essential to consider the nuances within electrical codes and standards. The National Electrical Code, or NEC, serves as a foundational document, but its adoption and adaptation vary significantly across states. For example, some states may adopt the NEC with minimal modifications, while others introduce substantial amendments to address local conditions, safety concerns, or specific industry practices. These amendments can create discrepancies in wiring methods, grounding requirements, overcurrent protection, and other critical aspects of electrical installations. Consequently, an electrician proficient in New Jersey's electrical code may lack familiarity with the specific requirements of another state, necessitating additional training or testing. Examination standards pose another significant hurdle. While some states utilize standardized exams developed by national organizations, others create their own exams tailored to the specific codes and regulations. These exams often assess not only knowledge of the NEC but also understanding of state-specific amendments, local ordinances, and accepted industry practices. The format, content, and difficulty level of these exams can vary widely, making it challenging for electricians from one state to demonstrate competency in another. Furthermore, experience requirements play a crucial role in determining eligibility for licensure. States typically mandate a minimum number of years of practical experience under the supervision of a licensed electrician before an individual can qualify for a journeyman or master electrician license. However, the specific types of experience that count towards these years can vary, creating discrepancies in accepted qualifications. For instance, some states may prioritize experience in residential wiring, while others may emphasize commercial or industrial installations. Similarly, the level of supervision required and the types of tasks performed can influence the assessment of an individual's experience. Continuing education requirements also contribute to the complexity of reciprocity. Many states mandate that licensed electricians complete a certain number of continuing education hours each year to maintain their licenses. These courses typically cover updates to the NEC, changes in state regulations, and advancements in electrical technology. However, the number of hours required, the topics covered, and the approved providers can vary significantly across states, making it difficult to establish reciprocity agreements based on continuing education alone. The absence of formal interstate agreements further complicates the reciprocity process. Reciprocity often requires formal agreements between states, which can be difficult to negotiate and implement. These agreements must address the differences in regulations, exams, and experience requirements to ensure that licensed electricians meet the standards of the receiving state. The negotiation process can be lengthy and complex, involving multiple stakeholders, such as state licensing boards, legislatures, and administrative agencies. Local market conditions can also influence the willingness of states to grant reciprocity. States may be reluctant to grant reciprocity if they believe it could lead to an oversupply of electricians, potentially affecting wages and job opportunities for local workers. This concern is particularly relevant in states with strong local unions or established apprenticeship programs. Political and administrative hurdles can further impede progress toward reciprocity. Establishing reciprocity agreements requires the cooperation of state licensing boards, legislatures, and administrative agencies. These bodies may have differing priorities and concerns, which can slow down or prevent the implementation of reciprocity agreements. For example, some states may prioritize consumer protection over workforce mobility, leading to stricter licensing requirements and limited reciprocity opportunities. The absence of a national standard for electrician licensing poses a fundamental challenge to reciprocity. A national standard would provide a common framework for education, experience, and examination, making it easier for states to recognize licenses issued by other states. However, efforts to establish a national standard have faced resistance from various stakeholders, including state licensing boards, unions, and industry associations who prefer to maintain control over licensing requirements within their respective jurisdictions. Verifying credentials can also be a cumbersome process. States must have a reliable method for verifying the credentials of electricians seeking reciprocity. This can involve contacting previous employers, educational institutions, and licensing boards to ensure that the individual meets the state's requirements. The verification process can be time-consuming and resource-intensive, particularly for electricians who have worked in multiple states or have obtained their training and experience in different countries. Concerns about the quality of training and education in other states can also hinder reciprocity. Some states may require additional training or testing to ensure that electricians from other states have the necessary skills and knowledge to work safely and effectively. This is particularly true for states with highly specialized industries or unique electrical systems. Despite these challenges, several initiatives are underway to promote greater reciprocity among states. Organizations such as the National Electrical Contractors Association, or NECA, and the Independent Electrical Contractors Association, or IC, are working to develop standardized training programs and certification exams that are recognized across state lines. Additionally, some states are exploring the possibility of creating regional reciprocity agreements with neighboring states that have similar licensing requirements. For example, some states have been able to reach agreements with neighboring states. These agreements allow electricians licensed in one state to work in another state without having to obtain a separate license. These agreements are often based on the principle of substantial equivalency, which means that the licensing requirements in both states are deemed to be similar enough that electricians licensed in one state can be considered qualified to work in the other state. The process of obtaining reciprocity can vary depending on the specific states involved. However, in general, electricians seeking reciprocity will need to provide documentation of their training, experience, and licensing status. They may also be required to pass an exam or complete additional training to demonstrate their knowledge of the electrical code in the state where they are seeking reciprocity. It is important to note that reciprocity is not always guaranteed. Even if two states have a reciprocity agreement in place, an electrician may still be denied reciprocity if they do not meet all of the requirements. For example, if an electrician has a criminal record or has been disciplined by a licensing board, they may not be eligible for reciprocity. Despite the challenges, reciprocity can be a valuable tool for electricians who want to work in multiple states. It can save time and money by eliminating the need to obtain separate licenses in each state. It can also help to expand job opportunities for electricians by allowing them to work in a wider geographic area. In addition to the efforts of organizations, the increased reliance on technology to perform day-to-day activities means that further training is needed to perform high-tech installations. This means the traditional skills are not enough and further training will keep the electrician updated on the latest code requirements. When seeking information, it is vital to consult the governing rules of the states that you are or will be doing business with to ensure compliance. The National Electrical Code, or NEC, is updated on a 3-year cycle. Each state decides when to adopt this version of the code.